Some people will argue that you need a certain set of tools to be a proper witch, and others will argue that you do not need anything at all to cast powerful magical spells. But I think it's an interesting topic to talk about, to see what tools are actually really, really useful and which ones are a once in a blue moon thing that we use. So today I'm going to be tier listing all of the most popular magical tools that people talk about, and I'm going to be saying how often I use it in my magical practice, whether I recommend you buy it if you don't have it already, or if there are other alternatives that are much better for you and your wallet than going out and buying a load of stuff. So I'm going to be counting down to what I believe is the most important magical tool that I believe everybody should own, and without this item it is really, really hard to build a solid witchcraft practice. But obviously people are going to disagree with what I say, and that is okay. I would love to hear in the comments after you watch this video your thoughts on this topic. What tool do you think everybody should have, or do you think that you absolutely do not need anything whatsoever? It'd be really interesting to hear. So let's get started. The first item is candles, and candles are great because you can use them for literally any magical working, but candles themselves can be a bit of a complicated thing to have because they're not really straightforward, where you just have one candle that lasts forever and you can use it for any spell. Candles come in different sizes, shapes, colours, and all of these different factors play a part in what spell they are good for. So if you are doing a certain type of working that needs a certain candle colour, then you have to go out and buy that candle colour if you don't have it already. Or if you are doing a spell with a specific intention that it would be good to have a candle in a certain shape, then you have to go and buy the candle in the certain shape. And this can become very costly, and you can end up buying candles for spells that you think you're going to do and then not actually doing those spells, which I've done a lot. I have quite a collection of candles that I haven't used yet, and I bought because I thought, oh, I'm going to do this spell, and then I don't actually end up doing the spell. But there are lots of different solutions to this. Something that is a really good idea is to just have a candle. If you want to collect some candles, is have one in every single colour and only use it a little bit, like each time, and cleanse the candle after each usage if you agree with that. Some people think that you should have a candle for one spell and it can't be used for anything else, but if you want to be a bit more sustainable and have it not cost as much, then you could use it once and then cleanse it. You could also not use real candles, which is what I am trying to shift my practice to doing, because I'm starting university this year, so I cannot have candles in my living space at all, so I am using electric candles instead. There are so many options now, and so many ones that actually are really realistic. You can also use coloured lamps, and this is something I recommend very highly to use in your magical practice instead of coloured candles, which is a lamp like this I got from Amazon, and you turn it on and it's got so many different colours. So what you can do with it, I think this needs charging actually, but what you can do with it is whatever spell you're doing, before you do the spell you can cleanse it. So you can use like selenite wand. Is this cleansing or is it charging? I forget what selenite is for, but I always just use it for cleansing. You can pick the colour that you want, and then instead of burning a candle, you can have that instead, and it's safer and it's more sustainable because you're not using loads of single-use candles. And there's so many different colours to choose from with lamps like this, and they last forever instead of going out and buying different candles. But some people like to have candles because they're really witchy, and I feel like there's something magical about lighting a candle and doing a working with a candle on. It makes it feel so much more powerful and stuff. And yes, so there's also other alternatives you can have. Got any of them here? Yes, you can have one of these small little tea lights, and you can put washi tape around it. I saw this on Reddit or something. People put like coloured washi tape on it for the colour that they want to correspond with the spell that they're doing. So yes, I think that candles are really, really great for magical workings, but I don't think that they are essential. So yeah, I think they're going to be high up, but not like right at the top, because I think they're great, but I think you could definitely live without them because there's so many different alternatives to using candles and spells. But also candles can be really, really great to make things feel like rituals. So yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to exactly put it. So I think that I'm going to put them in B tier because they are really, really useful, but they're not essential to having a good, powerful witchcraft practice. So the next one is an athame, and I haven't really done a lot of research into the whole like history behind why we even use athames, so I don't exactly know what I would use it for in a spell. It's kind of like a ceremonial knife, if you've never heard of one, but you don't use it to slice things. You use it I don't actually know what you use them for, but because I personally don't use them, and I don't hear many people talking about athames and their use of them in rituals, and you don't really need them for most spells that you do. Like, if it's not something that you have already, like, I wouldn't recommend you go out and buy one unless you do some research about it and you really, really resonate with it. So I'm going to be putting the athame in D tier because I don't personally use it, but other people probably do use it and have a use for it, but I haven't used it enough to be able to really say, and yeah, I haven't used it enough to say that it's completely not worth it whatsoever and put it in E tier, especially as there's probably people watching this that like really, really like their athame. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier just because I don't really use it very often. So the next one is a chalice, and chalices are really, really interesting. I feel like they're really, really similar to athames. They are something that you often see on altar setups of people who have been practicing for a long time or are following a traditional setup of an altar. So I didn't have a chalice for so many years until I went to Glastonbury this year and I bought my own little chalice that's over there, and I absolutely love my chalice, but I don't use it for magical workings. I tend to use my chalice for just decoration, and it's just really, really nice to symbolise the time of my life that I am in, because it is a maiden chalice, so it kind of symbolises me fully embracing the time of my life that I'm in. So yeah, I really, really love it just as a symbolic item that I own, but I don't use it for spells. So I would say that chalices really aren't essential. I went so many years without having a chalice, and I felt like I had to have an altar in like a specific way. So I had a wine glass on my altar to be like a chalice, but I never used it. So I would personally, again, put this in D tier because I don't really use them, but they can be useful. But it could be argued that you can have a chalice in a working in a different way. Like, I could say that this is my chalice in a different way because I am drinking whilst I'm doing spell work. But then, yeah, I haven't done much research into the like history of why we use chalices and what they can be useful for. But yeah, I love having it as a symbolic thing, and also sometimes I add items to it to manifest stuff. So I put like symbolic items that are to do with something that I'm trying to manifest at that certain time, and that's just a really, really nice representation of like what I'm working on at the moment in my magical practice. So I really, really love to use it for that. But other than that, it's really not essential, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying a chalice unless you absolutely love them, or if you buy one for decoration like I do. But let me know in the comments what you use your chalice for, if you have a chalice, and what they're good for in rituals. So the next magical tool is one that's a little bit more abstract, and it is your voice. Now, this one, straight off the bat, I'm going to say this is going into A tier because your voice is so versatile, and it's something that you have. Like, you can use it, and you don't have to buy it. Like like you already have it, you can use it. And even if you don't want to speak, you still have your voice with like in your mind. You can think what you want to say. So yes, your voice, kind of me saying the whole idea of your voice, is not just you like physically saying words, it's also in your mind as well. So your voice can be so powerful in your magical practice because it can add this another layer into spells. If you like doing spells where you have like a chant or something that you have to say, they can be really, really great for that. You can also use it in music magic, which I made a whole podcast episode about, where you can sing lyrics in songs like they're true. So if you're trying to manifest like a certain kind of lifestyle, if you sing lyrics that correspond with the kind of life that you want to have as if you're already living it, then that can be really, really powerful magic. And if you are trying to cleanse something, you can sing to it. You can also sing to plants to help them grow. You can also speak up and defend yourself. You can use it as protection magic. You can change your voice in different ways when you're talking to different people and use it as glamour magic. There's so much you can do with your voice. So that definitely goes into, I might even put it into S tier because it's just so, it's so versatile, but it's so powerful. It's something that we all have and we all can use. So yes, I think I'm going to put that in S tier. But it isn't the greatest witchcraft tool of all time. You're going to have to wait till the end of the video to find out what that is. So the next one is crystals, and crystals they have a reputation for being something really, really witchy, and it kind of seems like sometimes you have to have crystals as part of like your like collection of witchy things. Like crystals are really, really important, and this is probably, I would say, overall you don't need crystals at all to be a good witch. I feel like crystals are a very much an accessory thing. It's kind of like bags in your wardrobe. Like you don't necessarily need like fashion bags. You don't necessarily need fashion bags, you just need kind of one bag that you can use when you're going to places. But like having a nice going out bag is nice. It can make you feel more confident, it can go with your outfit nicely, but you don't need it. I feel like it's the same with crystals. Crystals are so fun to kind of like be like a little treat to buy for yourself and to kind of connect with. And I'm going to be doing a whole series about crystals and talking all about like how to look after them, where to buy them, the best crystals for beginners, the best crystals for like certain things in life. But yes, you definitely do not need crystals at all. So for that, I am probably going to be putting them into D tier because of how much sometimes it seems like you need a certain crystal for a spell, and you really, really don't, because there are so many alternatives to using crystals. Yes, so I think it's just the kind of maybe the idea that you might need crystals for a certain spell that I'm putting it low on this list. But if I'm saying like how useful it is in my personal magical practice, it would probably be really, really high in the list, but I don't need them. So I'm trying to make this video where it's like what is really, really useful in your magical practice. So I don't know, they're like a fun thing to collect over the years, and like all of the science behind how a crystal is formed, like they have a lot of energy, and that's really, really cool. But there's other ways we can get that kind of energy. So yeah, let's put it in D tier, I think, or C tier. I don't really know. I don't like the idea of people feeling like they have to buy crystals unless they find one they're really, really drawn to and they really, really love. Yeah, I don't want to promote consumerism. But anyway, the next thing is tarot cards. And tarot cards are so useful. And I think I'm going to be kind of splitting this into two, because I think having your own set of tarot cards is not necessary. Like you can use a online tarot card thing to learn about tarot cards and to get your daily reading. You don't physically need a deck of tarot cards to get the benefits of having them, but it is a really nice thing to collect when you feel like you would use them often. But I definitely don't think that everybody needs a set of tarot cards, but it is kind of something to collect. It makes you feel more like a witch, but you definitely don't need it. And my first ever deck of tarot cards was one that I made, and it really wasn't an issue that it was a set that I made, because I could still read people's tarot cards at school and they didn't think of them any differently because I had drawn really, really bad drawings of the different cards on them. So yes, I believe that if you have the time for it, your first ever deck of tarot cards, you should do what I did in the past and make your own deck before you go and buy one. But I absolutely love my deck of tarot cards, so if you want to collect it, then you can, but you don't have to physically have a deck of tarot cards to get the benefits of having tarot in your practice. So for that, I'm going to have tarot cards as a whole concept in A tier, because there's so much we can learn from tarot cards and they are really, really useful in our practice. But actually having a physical set of tarot cards, I think I'm going to put that in D tier, because again, like crystals, you do not need tarot cards to be a proper witch, but it's a nice thing to collect later on in your practice, to kind of symbolize that you love using that. So the next thing we have is a broom or a besom, and this is my broom. I bought it on Etsy. It's really, really small, and I don't need a big broom because I don't have a house. So actually no, I have a house, but it's not my house. It's my parents' house. So I feel like having a big broom is something that I will probably invest in when I have my own space, if I feel like it is something that I would use. And to work out if I want to actually own one, I think I will pretend that I have one, like in my imagination, and do what I would do without the broom, like what I would do with a broom, like that, like pretending that I have one to like cleanse my space, because I think it's a really, really interesting way to cleanse your house. But there are so many other ways that you can cleanse a house with your voice. As we were talking about earlier, you can cleanse your house. You can sage your house. I don't really like saging, but some people do that. There are just other alternatives, but I do like having a small one that I can cleanse my altar with, but it's definitely not necessary because I use sound cleansing with my little kalimba thumb piano that's down there, to cleanse all of my items. So I definitely don't think that it's necessary, but it's an interesting thing to collect later on in your practice if you are going to use it. But if you're not going to use it, you can just kind of use the broom that you already have. Like if you have a garden, you might have like a garden broom, you can kind of decorate that, or I don't really think that you need them, but they can be a really interesting thing to decorate, like around a certain Sabbath. So because they're not necessary, I think I'm going to put them in D tier. So next one, actually no, everything I'm putting in D tier I should probably put in C tier, because like it's quite harsh me saying that. I just don't want like beginner witches to watch this video and feel like they need to buy anything, because they really don't. You don't need anything to start your magical practice. So yes, next one we have are herbs, just herbs in general. And I have been collecting herbs for a couple of years, like in little jars, and I don't really use them that often. Like I had a lemon balm plant a couple of years ago, and it died, and I collected some of the leaves from it, but I've never actually used it in a spell. Maybe it's because the kind of spells that I do, they don't really need herbs. But I sometimes think, like, why do people have herbs? Like, what do they use them for? Like, how do you use a herb in a spell? But I guess you can kind of like put them in a circle around the working that you're doing, or you can put them into the working, you can do like little charm bags, or there's like lots of options with it. But I don't know, they're definitely not necessary, so for that I'm going to be putting them in C tier. Yeah, we're moving everything that I was saying unnecessary into C tier because I think it's a bit harsh that I put it into D tier. So yes, the next one is paper. Paper is so essential in a magical practice. It is one of the simplest tools that you can use. You can write on it, obviously, and you can use it for spell work. I always include paper in my rituals and my spells because it's just such a simple spell ingredient, but it's so versatile. It is great to use instead of using bay leaves because it's bigger, so you can write your things that you want to manifest on it and then burn it. Oh yeah, cauldron, I'm going to talk about that in the next tier listing video I do, because cauldrons are an interesting one. So yes, paper, I will put this in A tier because it is really, really useful. And paper is also really important to have like a grimoire or a book of shadows. You can do so much with it in witchcraft. So yes, going to put it in A tier. The final one we're going to be talking about today, because I'm going to be doing another episode of this, and if you have anything you want me to talk about... Oh no, this isn't the final one, because we're talking about the greatest one after we talk about this final one. Yeah, if you have any magical tools I haven't mentioned today that you'd like me to tier list in the next episode, please leave them in the comments down below. But yes, we have a pen. Now this is similar with the paper one. I'm going to put it in A tier because pens are great. You can charm like a specific pen to be used for a certain thing. Like they're great for like school magic, so like study magic. So you can really like put all your intentions that you want to be really, really concentrating in class when you are holding this certain pen. You can also use pens to make sigils. You can use pens to write in your book of shadows. You can use pens as wands. You can use pens as literally anything. They are so versatile, as well as paper. So yes, I'm putting that in A tier. And now we come to what I personally believe, due to my personal magical practice, is the greatest witchcraft tool of all time. And I would love to hear in the comments what you think the greatest witchcraft tool is of all time. But this is a witchcraft tool that I do not hear anyone talking about. I've never heard anyone mention this ever being a magical tool or being something that you should have. But I believe it is the fundamental magical tool that everybody should try and own. But it's also not completely necessary because there are alternatives. But the greatest witchcraft of all time, in my opinion, is a pair of walking boots. And this sounds a little bit silly, but I think that this is the best witchcraft tool ever, because having this connection with nature is the foundations of a successful witchcraft practice, because going out into nature helps to reset us and ground us and make us really, really happy and really connect us to our practice. And having this whole practice of going out in nature really helps to inspire our magical practices. Also, loads of people are pagans and Wiccans and druids who are also witches, so this connection with nature is the integral part of the religion. So having a pair of walking boots means you can get deeper into nature than just having like a regular pair of shoes. You can really walk out into the woods and kind of walk wherever you want and have freedom and really connect with everything. So yes, that is why I believe that the greatest witchcraft tool of all time is a pair of walking boots, and it is the most incredible thing to invest into. And I am so grateful that I have a really, really lovely pair of walking boots, and I also have a pair of walking sandals, which I use as like my main pair of sandals. So whenever I want to go like off the beaten track, I can just like walk about, and my sandals are like really secure. They are the best investments, as well as maybe a pair of wellies when it is like really, really rainy and like winter, where there are sections of like our favourite walks that are covered in water, so you can still walk where you want to walk. So yes, those kind of three similar items are really incredible, and I'm so glad that I got like a really, really good pair of walking boots because I went to Iceland. I really invested in a good pair because I was walking on like snow and stuff. I'm so glad that I have such a good pair that they really withstand anything, but like even a simple pair of walking boots is perfect, or a pair of like trainers that are really chunky and really good for walking around in nature. It is the best thing you can buy to help your magical practice if you have to buy anything. But yes, that is the end of this video. I hope that you have found this video useful or interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts about this topic in the comments down below. As I said, I have missed out a lot of magical tools that people often use, so I would love to hear what tools you want me to talk about in the next episode of this mini-series, so that, yes, we can have more videos. So yes, I will see you guys all soon in the next one. Bye!